Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness reveal the biggest truths about who we are. Long ago, in a prosperous kingdom surrounded by busy markets and quiet villages, there lived a wise king named Virendra. From the palace towers, he could see his people going about their lives, trading in markets, working in fields, and walking through crowded streets. Visitors often praised the kingdom, saying its people were polite and generous. Yet the king had a question in his heart. He wondered if people were truly kind, or if they only behaved kindly when someone important was watching. One evening, as the sun set behind the palace walls, the king made a strange decision. He removed his royal robes and crown and dressed himself in torn clothes. He covered his head with a dusty cloth and picked up a wooden stick. When the palace guards saw him, they were confused. "Your Majesty," one guard said nervously, "why would you dress like this?" The king simply smiled. "I want to see the truth," he replied. And with that, he walked out of the palace disguised as a poor beggar. The king traveled through markets and roads asking for a little food or water. Most people ignored him. Some turned their faces away as if they hadn't heard him. A few even looked at him with annoyance. "Go somewhere else," one man said impatiently. The king said nothing. He simply continued walking, quietly observing the people of his kingdom. By evening, he arrived at a small village. The houses were simple and smoke rose from cooking fires. Tired and hungry, the king sat beside an old well near the road. Many villagers passed by, but none stopped to help. Then a young boy named Arjun appeared. He had been helping his mother in the fields all day and was walking home with a small cloth bundle that held his dinner. As he passed the well, he noticed the old beggar sitting there. The man looked weak and exhausted. Arjun slowed down. "Grandfather," the boy asked kindly, "are you hungry?" The beggar nodded softly. "I haven't eaten all day." Arjun looked at the small bundle in his hands. Inside were 2 pieces of bread and a little rice, his only meal for the evening. For a moment he hesitated. Then he sat down beside the old man and opened the cloth bundle. "Please," Arjun said, smiling gently, "eat with me." The beggar looked surprised. "But you need this food," he said. Arjun shook his head. "My mother always says something," he replied. "What does she say?" the beggar asked. Arjun answered quietly. "She says, kindness means helping someone even when you don't have much." Together they shared the simple meal. The next morning, the peaceful village was suddenly filled with noise. Royal soldiers arrived on horseback, and behind them came a grand carriage from the palace. The villagers gathered in the square, whispering in confusion. Then the carriage door opened. The same beggar from the previous evening stepped forward, but this time he removed the dusty cloth from his head. The soldiers immediately bowed. The villagers gasped. The beggar was actually King Virendra. Ashamed, the villagers fell silent. The king raised his hand gently. "I did not come here to punish anyone," he said. "I came here to learn." Then he called Arjun forward. "This boy," the king said, placing a hand on his shoulder, "shared his only food with a stranger. He did not know I was a king. He did not expect a reward." The villagers listened quietly. "True kindness," the king continued, "is not shown when people are watching. It is shown when no one important seems to notice." Then the king made an announcement. Arjun and his mother would receive a new home and land, and the boy would be allowed to study in the royal academy. Arjun stood there in disbelief. All he had done was share his meal. Before leaving the village, the king spoke one final lesson. "Never judge a person by their clothes or their wealth," he said, "because sometimes the person you ignore today may be the one who teaches you the greatest truth tomorrow." And from that day on, the villagers remembered something important. Kindness is the truest form of greatness, because it reveals who we are when no one else is watching.